I think it's live.
Hello. I haven't got a chat room. Right, yeah, it
Is
says
that
I'm
it?
live. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, well done.
Okay, so I'm live on Facebook. Haven't done a Facebook Live for ages. Um, didn't book this or anything, just a last minute
Okay.
thought. Thank you for helping. So, so yeah, I'm Facebook Live. Um, as I said, I haven't done a Facebook Live for ages. Settings have changed a little bit, but I think I'm doing it now. So there's no one in my chat room. I presume people on Facebook can see that I'm live. I'm not sure. Sorry about this. Anyway, no, don't think anyone can see that I'm live actually. Anyway, I've got some questions here that people have sent me via Messenger. And I'm going to respond to those. And then if anyone comes into the chat room, then I can answer questions. Okay, so first question I got is why don't the crystal individuals want to look at the dark stuff? I said in a couple of my videos ago that crystal individuals don't like looking at all the dark information. And someone asked me, why is that the case? And can I give more information? And really, it's kind of what I said in the in the video. The crystal individuals are very sensitive. They're natural healers, and they're very they can be quite introverted. Sometimes they can have low self-esteem when they haven't come fully into their power. And looking at anything dark like that, they can sense energy so very profoundly. And instead of kind of having somewhat of a shield like the indigo individuals do when they sense energy, that energy sort of penetrates them. And so they don't. Oh, I have got someone in here. Hi. I wasn't sure if this was working. Hi, Suzanne. Hi. I wasn't sure if this was working because I haven't done a Facebook Live for ages. Nice to see you. You're the only person in my chat room. Oh, hi, Mike. How are you? Haven't seen you to talk to for ages. I thought I'd just go live, impromptu, no planning. I just thought I'd give it a go. Haven't been live for ages. I hope you're well. Hope you're doing okay under these circumstances. I hear in America you've got a bit more freedom as of yesterday. Unlike us here in the United Kingdom, we're still on the same old lockdown that we were on. But I heard that Trump has opened up your freedoms a little bit more than how things were. So, yeah, so I'll continue. When crystal individuals look at dark information, instead of being able to sort of feel that energy and have that warrior strength as well, that, as I said, acts like a shield, they allow that energy to kind of penetrate through them. And unless they've come into some kind of focus with that and done a lot of work, it's really difficult for them to cope with that level of intense dark vibration, if you will. And so they often shy away from it. They now are realizing that that can't be done anymore because it's kind of in your face, all this stuff. So we do have to take a look at it. So that's why crystals don't want to look at dark stuff, because they're not supposed to have that shield there. They're natural healers, and they are. I keep getting this little camera thing, and they keep they're natural healers, and that energy is reserved to stand as like as a crystal. That's why they're called crystal individuals. They're like crystals, and they reflect that energy and use it for healing. Their pathway is different. Their destined path is different. When they were born, and incarnated into this planet, their pathway was different. It wasn't necessarily to go out there and wake everyone up and bust the system and spot the lies and shout about the truth and all the things the indigos do. Is to hold frequency like a crystal generator, and that's a code within them. That's why crystal individuals don't want to look at the dark stuff. They don't have to either. They don't have to, as I was saying in the last video I did, they don't have to delve deep and analyze, but they still need to have a rough idea or a fairly good idea of the dark plan, and at least come to an understanding of it without necessarily having to delve deep within each subject. So, hi there, everyone. Hi. Is there an age range for crystals? Can they be 66 years old? They are usually younger. The crystals really started flooding in sort of round about the year 2000, increasing since then. But yes, there is no age range for any of these frequencies. Many came earlier. Many of the crystals are healers now that have been working in the healing field for like 30 years. So they can be 66, yes, absolutely. There's more of them that are younger, but many crystals came in, years and years ago to sort of hold that frequency, because every crystal that incarnated opened up, added to that gateway, if you will, so that more could come in. Obviously, we are inundated with crystal and indigo individuals now, all doing their job. So whilst this whole process is an indigo uprising, the crystal individuals are holding the energy for that and standing as the healers for that energy. So if you liken it to an operation in war, you'd have those on the front line and then you'd have the nurses healing them. That's kind of how it works. Hybrids of all three, so indigo, crystal and blue ray. Absolutely, yes. I actually have a friend who's got pretty much every vibration in her. We all have. We're all rainbow individuals. It's just that we have a predominant, many of us have a predominant frequency because that holds the code for our mission. So with me, I'm predominantly indigo, almost all indigo, because I have an indigo mission. But that doesn't mean that I can't shift my energy and move into a more crystalline, crystal way of being, or hold the other rays of energy, but I'm predominantly that indigo personality. So yes, how should we address the increasing superstition around all occult symbols? Yeah, that's a really difficult one, and that's something that's been hijacked and continues to be so with the dark groups and the cabal, bringing the occult symbols out in the hope of fearing, causing fear in people. And yes, that's going to increase, because what's happening is you've got people waking up who don't have any spiritual or occult understanding or esoteric understanding. There's no activation of the higher DNA code going on. And these individuals are waking up and finding out the knowledge. So they're taking the knowledge in on a intellectual level, and they're not able to transmute the feeling. So when they see these symbols, it's automatically occult. Best way to address it is to say all the symbols on this planet have been hijacked by these dark groups, and we are reclaiming those symbols. So whilst every symbol can look as though it's dark and occult, that same symbol can also work for light. We're reclaiming everything. Everything has been taken from us, our DNA, our planet, our world, our children, our freedoms. We are reclaiming them all, including the symbols. That is a really, really good question. And I mean, you could just talk forever about that subject, but the best way to address it is to say we're reclaiming these symbols. We are now showing the world what they mean in a positive sense. And the other thing you could say is, it's the same with technology. Technology itself is not inherently evil. Artificial intelligence is not inherently evil. Tarot cards are not inherently evil, and occult symbolism isn't inherently evil. It's those that wield that as a tool. So it's the people who are using the technology, the artificial intelligence, the tarot cards, the occult symbolism. and the energy that they have is then interfaced with that tool. So if we as light beings reclaim these symbols will then present code of light, frequency of light, rather than frequency of darkness. Teaching newcomers is a great learning blessing. That's so true. It really is. And I don't know about you, but I've got some newly awakened individuals in my family, all waking up for different reasons. It's different things that has caused that awakening. And I don't just mean awakening of knowledge, I mean the feeling and the knowing that it's true. So some of my family members have woken up because of the financial system, others because of the technology that's above 4G, others because of the children situation, others because of vaccines. So, or just simply interest, like, what does all this mean? Because it's everywhere, everywhere. I mean, I know people who are actually writing on their social media statuses, who are all these conspiracy theorists? Everywhere I go, people are spouting conspiracy theories. I can't get away from it. It's everywhere, coming across the board, as people are waking up exponentially on a daily basis as we hurtle towards the inevitability of this convergence of timelines. And the inevitability is the Great Awakening. Cannot be stopped. It's inevitable. I've just uploaded a video, which is now on YouTube, explaining that whole process and the inevitability of the Great Awakening and the Ascension. This is why I'm spreading seeds, trying to give truth bombs. It's important, I believe, so folks can release the deep programming. Do you think we've tipped the scale? Well, to be honest with you, energetically, we tipped the scale around 2012 for the inevitability of the awakening. Have we tipped the scale when it comes to the awareness? It's so hard to tell the answer to that question, because the timelines are so fast now. They are like little spirals rather than long timelines that show probability. It's not really about scales and critical mass anymore, because how I explain it really is, if you were to throw a stone in the middle of a pond, and that stone splashes in the middle of the pond and you get ripples going out. So around 2012, we would be, on the outside of one of those ripples. Right now, we're right by where the stone landed. So have we tipped the scales, looking at critical mass and probabilities, which are all collapsing? The answer has to be yes to that. It has to be yes, that we've tipped the scale. We're not seeing evidence of that in the in the physical dimension when it comes to the way things are in some countries. You are seeing evidence of this in America, because what I see with America is, with the cabal tightening, you could see this as a grip on all the different countries holding fast. So America, instead of having this tight little band, there's been a loosening, not a complete loosening, but a loosening. Whereas here in the UK, we're still on a tight band. We're having to sort of come in towards that from the people, whereas you have a team of light at the helm, if you know what I mean, in America. But the Nine do say all eyes on America. What happens in America affects the rest of the world. So we watch America, we see what happens in America, and we will get the ripple of that effect. In fact, I am actually feeling now that decisions made within the American government will be things that the people are going to start noticing. I mean, it's like America are loosening the restriction rules. America want to be out and are now in this 3-step plan, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, to get everybody back out of lockdown and back to society and back to work. So many states have now gone into that first phase with the intention of getting most people out by hopefully the 1st of May. And here we are in the UK we have one politician saying, well, it's going to be about 18 months before the UK are fully out of lockdown. I mean, you can imagine the absolute terrible craziness that's sending people into. It's definitely locked down for 3 weeks and will be reviewed again. What I'm saying is people are going to start saying, how come America are loosening their restrictions here, and we have the UK and other European countries that are not doing that, when it's the same virus and the same number of cases? Of course, we know the reason why. The reason why is because Donald Trump and his team are no longer listening to the WHO. They're now listening to different, more genuine medical advisors, and we are still caught in the trap with that sort of cabal institution. So we need to watch America. When the Nine first said this to me, all eyes on America, what happens in America affects the rest of the world. It was about 2009 they said that to me. So about 11 years ago I was told that, and it's always been the case, but I've never really understood fully what that meant until now. Now I really know what it means. My family's flipping out because their paradigms have been rocked, like tantrums and all. Yes, that's happening. That's happening all over. The rug is being pulled out from underneath them. Paradigms are shifting. With my family, the ones that have woken up are taking this not really like a flipping out or tantrums. I mean, I've got one family member fully embracing it, really, but that family member did already have a little bit of information previous to this, having read a David Icke book a few years ago, so that seed was already planted. And I have another family member who is a young mother who is more in the distress, grief phase of discovering the dark plans, obviously involving our little ones. I'm talking somewhat in code here. So it's not really tantrum there, it's more grief. But I mean, every emotion is coming up to the fore with all of these different areas of the lie, of the false narrative. If you can see things psychically, you can see this false narrative breaking down. Every single piece of it is breaking down as we get closer and closer to this core of this ascension timeline and the inevitability of great awakening. And that core is predominantly the entire planet having heard about this, and the majority of the planet responding in some way, with a small minority managing to still remain in the false narrative for a while longer. This is just going to dissolve. It is. I see it more as a crumbling rather than a dissolution, but it is a dissolution. It's just the energetic looks more like, see, dissolving seems to be quite smooth. It's like 1 minute you're there and the next minute you're not. That's the dissolution, but it's not. It's more of a crunching to try to break that down. That's the analogy, is more of a crumbling and a breaking down. There are many different ways a planet can go through an ascension process and a great awakening, and we haven't chosen the smoothest ride, we haven't chosen the worst ride, we're somewhere in the middle. And the starseeds who already know about this are doing well. They've got the tools there to be able to do well. In fact, one of the questions I had here is it going to be easier to go through all this if we've done shadow work already? And the answer to that is a resounding yes. The other question is the Earth recovering from pollution right now since the shutdown? Yes, absolutely. Again, I could talk way more about these subjects, but the answer is yes. Has time sped up since 2012? Because it feels that way. Yes, absolutely. And the last video I just uploaded, which is on YouTube now, explains about that speeding up of time. Like with the seatbelt statement, is it physically hard or mentally shift of mindset? Yeah, I mean, it's a shift of mindset. The physical body can be affected by this because obviously the physical body responds to fight or flight chemicals and adrenaline and cortisol and that sort of thing. But with the seatbelt analogy, rather than sort of jolting forward and affecting your physical body. It's more like we're going on a roller coaster. If you don't wear your seatbelt, you know, you're going to be thrown out of the roller coaster. So buckle up, hold fast, hold tight. That's really what it means. And I think the seatbelt analogy is we're going so fast now, we need the seatbelt on because we're going too fast to not have it on. So that was the analogy. The analogy of the seatbelt message was about the speeding up of everything that's really, really getting closer and closer until we get to that absolute core, which we are right next to at the moment. The core will be when everyone in the world has a big event or big presentation of truth. So what that might look like is a continuing domino effect of awakening that's coming in from the back door, which is the alternative media and the people and word of mouth and everything else. That may then trickle it, well, that will and is trickling into the mainstream because we've got light workers within the media who are going to start waking up and saying, actually, I've just been told that I can't speak about this subject, and I'm actually not going to I'm not going to obey this rule anymore. I am going to speak about this subject, ripping the rule book up. That's what some of the light workers are going to be doing in the media. So you may see people investigated or possibly lose their jobs. Some of these people may actually leave. Some of the media workers may actually leave their job and think, I can't stay here anymore, because they didn't know about the corruption before. When they're reporting on stories, they believe those stories to be true. But now it's so obvious to everyone that something is very wrong. And so you are going to have people that question that narrative. So the awakening could be how this moves from the alternative media, word of mouth, backdoor into mainstream media as well, with little sort of evidences. This could even come in through an announcement on mainstream media. I have never felt that that would be the way. I'm not saying it's out of the realms of possibility, but I've never felt that that was the way it would be done. What I think is more than likely is something will occur within this whole legal situation, and it will be absolutely in America, centered on Trump and those who are attacking him. So that's the central point. Something will occur there between Trump and those who are attacking him that's so big, it then affects every other country. I've already said in one of my videos that I think the World Health Organization will collapse. Well, Trump has already withdrawn funding from them, but this is supposed to be temporary. We're pending an investigation. What I'm seeing is that that's permanent, and that investigation will not go well. Then the United Nations will crumble, and that will start a domino effect of the systems crumbling. The systems that will crumble are the systems that are built on corruption, greed, lies, tyranny, and with the means to control, the seed point to control. These are black box programs. They're crumbling. Any business structure built from light and built from the heart is going to sustain. It may transform, but it will sustain. So anyone who has a business built on light, don't worry about your business. That will transform, continue, change, and eventually be better than ever. Because the businesses and the entrepreneurship coming in from heart-centered projects will not only sustain, they will flourish. We are shredding false narratives globally. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Do you know about the asteroid that broke up? Was this possibly the literal meaning of your dream? I don't know much about the asteroid, other than somebody did write to me saying that there was an asteroid heading straight for Earth, which was the narrative that was being put out there, because obviously they're coming in at everyone from multiple directions. And I was aware that whatever was coming into the system wouldn't hit the planet. And what is the second part of your question, which has now just disappeared? Was it possibly the literal meaning of your dream? I presume you mean the dream where the little fairy jellyfish extraterrestrials said the draconians are coming. That's such a good question, because life force beings we may perceive as a star or a rock or a planet or an asteroid, because there's life within these. So could well be, haven't analysed that deeply, could well be. I do think the draconians are coming is also a metaphor for the draconian society. But we are not going to let them in. We're not allowing the draconian society. But that's from us. We, as the people, are not allowing the draconian society, guided by the higher light. But that higher light is us. It's our collective consciousness. Every single person that wakes up creates that collective consciousness to be bigger and stronger, and it creates a stargate, a portal that then brings in floods of consciousness from other areas in our galaxy and in our solar system and through other stargates. It's a stargate system that's opening up within us, within our actual space time and within our time space. It's absolutely huge. The ripple effect is just phenomenal. It's so hard to get your head around because it's happening at the very smallest level. So when you're thinking of cells within the body, the absolute microcosmic level is where the awakening is occurring, because the cellular structure is changing. And it's occurring at the macrocosmic level, at the greatest level, in a solar sense, in a galactic sense. The stargates are opening up, the portals, the galactic grids, in alignment with our own cellular awakening. I've talked about this, the Nine have talked about this for a long time, but because we are at the almost at the middle of this inevitability core, we're in that with the galactic as well, which is why people are waking up, why downloads are occurring more, people are getting more vivid dreams, becoming more psychic. And what's actually happening is the dark controllers are desperately trying to prevent this, and every step they take to prevent this actually creates it. They are in a paradox, catch-22 flip. And it's instant now. It used to take a while. So they may have created an event and it would be a few weeks, a few months, maybe even longer than a year or so before that would backfire on them. But now it's backfiring instantaneously. And they know it. They're fully aware, all of them now. I mean, there were a few going back to 2012 that wouldn't have it, that this awakening was going to happen. They still felt that there was something they could do right up until the whole virus lockdown, 2 weeks ago. But now they know that this is inevitable. They're still trying. They're still trying so hard to mitigate the damage from their perspective, but it's not working. Every single thing they do is flipping back at them immediately. The backfiring of their moves seems so obvious. Yes, it does. I mean, when you understand that and you can see that, it's instantaneous. And every time they take a video off YouTube, they try to shut up one of the areas of light. It creates a bigger mass to that. It draws the spotlight on it. Take this person's video down. Everybody wants to watch it. Censor this particular article, everybody wants to read it. So that's what's happening in all areas. I had a dream of an ark weeks ago before COVID-19, and then follow-up dream of lush green tree growing 3 times as big. So that's your awareness, that's your understanding of the timelines. You knew the energy that was coming. It's difficult to actually show someone this is going to happen. You're going to have a virus. You're going to go into lockdown, because there were so many different potentials. So what we were picking up was the symbology and the archetypal presentations that would be a match to this, so that the starseeds were prepared in some way. So, but the ark is a wonderful symbol, because we do have this huge ship that's containing everyone and raising everyone above the flood. But ark, we also have the ark within, that is the the Ark of the Covenant energy and what that all means, and the golden arc, the Fibonacci sequence that creates the arc. Layers and layers of metaphors in everything. Personally, I'm holding positivity instead of buying into fear narratives. Yes, absolutely. And I think we all are. Having said that, sometimes things can occur that can make us feel afraid. It happened to me when this first happened. It was never the virus. I knew from the start that the virus was no threat. But it was the whole forced vaccine thing for me and microchip thing. I'm now absolutely looking at the evidence that I have, both esoterically and physically. I'm now fully aware that that's not going to occur. And what you get to strengthen that knowing is synchronicity. I've had profound synchronicity showing me that the vaccine is not going to be forced on anybody. In fact, the whole vaccine agenda is going to break down before it gets to that point. It's a bit more risky for us in the UK, possibly other countries in Europe, than it is in America, because the people involved will be removed from power, from their power position in America before they're removed from the power position in the UK. So yeah, we've got a bit of timing thing going on there, but yes, we do need to hold into the positivity. Having said that, there are some people that are going so positive because they're afraid of the negative. I know that's not the case with you, Mike, at all, but I have met people who are so afraid of the fear narrative that they're, oh, I must be positive, I must be positive. What can I do to stay positive? Love and light, let's find the positive story. And when they do that, the negative is throwing itself in their face because they are in resistance to it. So you must go and make sure you are aware of that fear narrative, you know what it is, and that you can empathize or even really go through what the other people are going through, because we as starseeds that have been prepared have the ability to transmute and integrate the fear-based narratives and the emotions that causes very quickly, whereas newly awakened individuals, some of them will because they were destined to awaken now and they are also fast tracking, but some individuals are stuck within that fear. So we have to sort of go in there and help them. But that's very much the job of the indigos. The crystals don't have to do that so much, as I was saying at the beginning of this Facebook Live. Profound synchronicity. I am seeing it too, and I do not see us agreeing to mass vaccination and microchipping. Absolutely no way, no. No, I mean, we've already made our declaration of sovereignty, started by Laura Eisenhower, who made that video, a message to the dark controllers. She was making a declaration of sovereignty. I've then spoken about that, and so many people have done that, either as videos or writing that down or doing that privately at home, and that's created the declaration of sovereignty within that frequency. So there's no agreement at all. Originally, it might have been, are we going to be forced? But when we allow the visionary awareness of being forced, we put ourselves into disempowerment. So then we come out of it and say, well, no, I won't be forced. I will not allow this. And then we come back. And because it's all to do with consciousness. Everything we manifest is to do with consciousness. And because the universal structure is so on our side, everything we manifest from the heart, from sovereignty, integrity, the heart, love, compassion, gratitude, the Excalibur, power, indigo, revolution, all of that justice energy, it's in alignment with the ascension timeline. So it's supported by synchronicity and by fate and destiny. And anything that's outside of that and within the dark structure is flipping into the positive. It's been happening for a long time, but as I said, now it's happening pretty much instantaneously, and you can see it in front of you. So hello, Dawn. How are you today? I love my friend Dawn Holiday. She's such a sweetie. And her little rabbits. Hi. Oh, wow. Manny Baker says 144 viewing. Yeah, that's lovely. There's so much synchronicity, and the numbers, the numerology, 144, 108, 1111. In one of your videos, you stated we have to go through 3 steps. Be aware of what's going on and integrate your emotions. Stand your ground and do not consent. Have love and compassion for everyone, especially the dark. I understand when we stand strong and do not consent with love energy. Now the question, during the mass meditation I used the video you made. Do you not believe that video had those steps? Yeah, yes, yes. The 9 often come in with the template first and present it. And I haven't quite processed the template necessarily in the way they have presented it. So then other things may occur so that I then fully process it. Because it's so important, the 3-step plan, that it came in obviously through me on multiple levels, first from the 9, and then I was taken to meet beings that were not, I say not the 9, I mean we're all one, but that were presenting from a different place, that were a different individualized structure from the 9, and showed me a different way forward with those steps. But yes, that video had those steps for sure. Absolutely. And there were so many people doing that meditation. Every time you do that meditation, you join with that collective energy. And I do see more meditations coming. I see people calling for more of these telepathic unions, because we still have work to do, obviously. But things are happening so fast. 3 weeks ago, when all this kind of broke, well, it was a bit longer, I believe, I thought, gosh, we've still got a lot of work to do. Now I look and I think, well, we don't have as much work to do as we did 3 weeks ago. So much has been accomplished in the last 3 weeks. It's unbelievable. But that's because time is different now. Time is so compressed into this fast speeding up, so that every day, every 24 hours, 10 years ago would have been a year, you know. I mean, that's kind of where we are. And that also is the same thing as the higher vibrational state. As the individuals wake up and add their awareness to this collective grid of light, if you will, and create this stargate, it's raising the light of this planetary system and the galaxy and within our body, raising it up higher and higher and higher. We now have the ability to be able to handle that raise in light, because it will expand our minds, it will affect our bodies, it will affect everything. But we have had so much training that those that are starseeds that have been through that training are able to hold the frequency for all the newly awakened individuals that are just waking up to this. So they're holding, and that's what that meditation was about as well, holding the space, making the declaration, we stand strong. That meditation was about, look at us. We are the star seeds of Earth. And you know, you only have to look around you. Look at us. We really are a unified peoples. Yes, there's still people in denial, but they're having their reality shaken all the time. But when you look at the people that are awake, we are a unified humanity, despite the little disagreements and the arguments. And I think people are putting those aside. Yes, there are still people that are indulging in arguments, but mostly people are thinking, well, I don't really care what religion you are, or, you know, what your beliefs are, or, you know, at the end of the day, we are all on the same side. And whilst I've been saying that, and many of the spiritual teachers have been saying this, and the truthers have been saying this for a long time, it doesn't really go into people's heads until now. It's like, oh my goodness, we need the team. We are being attacked. The people, the whole planet are under attack. And the only way that we can do anything about it is to come together. We have no choice but to come together, and we are. So, as I said, everything that they are doing to try to prevent the Great Awakening is creating the Great Awakening. Bless you, Annabelle. I'm sure Magenta will talk you through it. Where is that? I can physically no longer write anything for money that isn't 100% in heart-centered integrity. Survival, fear, and practicality can't motivate me into action. This is an uncomfortable experience. How could we stay centered when what we believed about work suddenly flips and we can't access the same motivations anymore? Yet that's absolutely going to happen, big time. So what you are explaining is happening across the board. So you've got professions that are on the front line who've been in controlled professions like the health service, the education service, education system, the military, and the police force, and all other emergency services, first responders. These are people of integrity that have worked in these jobs, and the media, and in other areas too. People of integrity have worked in these jobs believing that they are doing the right thing, doing a good thing. And then with this happening now, it's making them realize, well, they go into cognitive dissonance and emotional dissonance, because it's like, I want to continue to do this, but this doesn't compute with this anymore. So what's happening there, as I said earlier, if you are in a work structure that is based on corruption and greed and dark energy and a control system, if there are enough individuals of light within that structure, you can create the transformation of that structure. But the structure itself, in the form it has always been in, has got to crumble. But it can sustain if it transforms. You must make the decision that is of integrity and sovereignty to you. So you'll be guided through this. You will know integrity, sovereignty, heart-centered, and you can remain in your work for a while. I mean, not if it's causing you to feel very uncomfortable, but you could sort of say to yourself, I'm going to make the decision to remain in this work environment for a while, as a scout, as someone who is simply observing, seeing what is going on, and try to find some purpose that is of the positive to keep you there. If it gets too uncomfortable and it simply becomes too much of a reflection of the dark energy and the draconian energy, then people will end up standing up, refusing to do things they're being told to do. I mean, I read recently in a local hospital, it's about 8 miles away from my home, they didn't have correct safe PPE equipment, which is a problem across the UK. And there was a ward of about 30 people with the positive result for COVID. And this particular healthcare worker refused to go in and do their shift because they were absolutely being put at risk by doing that shift. And their boss said, you have to go in and do your shift, or you will have disciplinary action and risk losing your job. I don't know what that person's decision was, because this was part of a larger article. But the point is, people are being asked to be tested deeply. And I really feel that the healthcare system, very much in the UK, but across the world, there will be healthcare workers that will come out of that system or try and stay in the system, but they're going to have to speak out eventually. And then we have people, as I said, in the police force, in the emergency services, first responders, and in the military, that are going to be tested in the same way, and in media and in many other areas. So I hope that sort of answers your question. And how that looks fully, we don't know yet. Every energetic has a multiple stream of different scenarios that could play out, but every one of those scenarios matches the same energy, and they all lead to the same conclusion, which is the inevitability of the Great Awakening. Todd Powers, shared thoughts are important work. Start being the good you are. Start being the good you are. Start with your neighbour, and that's enough. Imagine the British people want, and you all love your country. It's worth keeping. That's up to you. It's up to us for the USA. At the end, we will still be kin, global brothers and sisters. Life will change for the better. Yep, that's all true. I mean, I realise we are individual countries, and we have to do for the UK what we can for the UK, as you are for America. But as I said earlier, the 9 have said all eyes on America. What happens in America affects the world. So what is happening in America, it's not so much that America's independent in one area and the UK is independent in another area and all the other countries are independent. America's in the center, if you look at this energetically, and everything that happens in America is spilling out into the rest of the world. We're catching the American particles of consciousness. in our country, so we can utilize that. At the moment, if you imagine those American particles are like little sort of balls of light, at the moment the cabal are batting them out like, no, we don't want any American particles over here. We've got a nice hold on the UK or whichever country it may be in the Europe or whatever else. But we, the people, are like, no, we want those American particles, those that understand the picture. And so we are finding ways to catch that. And that's what I see coming for the UK. It will be a stand up, as in, well, this is happening in America. Why are we in such a different reality with the same numbers, the same virus, the same etc., etc.? I also noticed how in Trump's address yesterday, he was calling the whole thing, or his advisors were calling the whole thing, influenza type illnesses. Now that is much more truthful and real. And when you watch Trump's address and all the people with him, you can see, yes, there's a little bit of cabal narrative in there. Of course there is. It can't just be swept away in 1 second. But there's light and truth coming out of what they're saying within that. And influenza type illnesses is much more in alignment with what we're looking at, without going into that too deeply and risking having this video taken down. Whereas in the UK, we don't have that at all. It's the tight system. It's like, they still have a grip on us. Now, things have changed so rapidly in the last 3 weeks. What's it going to look like in a week's time, in 3 weeks' time? I mean, things are changing so rapidly, and there is so much that is yet to occur. So the nature of work will be on real service to others. Absolutely. That's it. That's the work that's sustaining. When you are in service to the whole, self and other as others, people misunderstand service to others and think it means forget yourself, just serve others. No. That's totally disempowering. It's self and other as one. That is the way forward for all paradigms and structures. Work, whether it's a huge business, a company, or whether it's an individual, that's exactly it. The service to self structures will not sustain. They're already collapsing, and we're going to see evidence of that over the next imminent time period. I mean, it's weeks, months, it's not years. I think there'll be a huge shift by the end of this year. And it's, we're right in the middle of the revealing right now, the apocalypse, the great reveal. It's today, it's right now. I'm getting a lot of people. Oh, hi, by the way, Rainy. Hi, you're my friend from Twitter. I'm getting a lot of people sending me videos wanting to know what's happening in Messenger because they don't want to be out there publicly. I'm glad to be able to help others know what's happening and remain calm and positive. Me too. Absolutely. I'm being flooded with videos. A lot of them I sort of watched ages ago and I already know the information. I'm like, Magenta, look at this. Magenta, look at this. Some of the videos I'm getting are great, but I also have the same. People don't want to be public. Of course they don't, but that they are waking up. So there is a silent awakening. I think people are worried that if they show that they're awakened, there's a target on their heads immediately, and they think that perhaps someone like me who's out there is incredibly brave and I'm risking my life. No, that's not the case. They don't realize that because they're newly awakened and they're bound to feel that fear. If I was the only person on the planet saying all of this to you, yeah, I probably wouldn't survive. But I'm not. This is a massive, massive team effort. And no sooner is one person releasing some information that someone else is releasing the same information in a different way. And then literally an hour later, somebody else is releasing the information. And then someone else is. So the awakening is so massive. There is no spotlight on any one person. Some people are somewhat targeted for getting too close to the picture. People who are talking in more of a spiritual way, especially if there's some new age metaphors in there, they are far less likely to be targeted because they're just not seen as a threat, even though they're the individuals that are seeing the timelines. They're not really seen as a threat when it comes to spreading information, because the majority of people will listen to you mention higher dimensional entity, rainbow frequency, and they switch off. So they're not seen as that much of a threat, which is the whole reason why the nine guided me into a new age arena. There are many in the new age arena, and that has been somewhat of a shielding for them, quite a large shielding for them, really. So you have people ridiculing the new age, but in many ways that's a shielding. Others are more on the front line. That's the truth movement. They don't have the shielding of the fluffy bunny rainbow stuff. They are on the truth movement. But again, there are other different protections. There's so many. And right now, we're so close to the inevitability that nothing we say now is really going to cause us to be in any situation of danger. The worst that can happen to us is having our platforms taken away. But there are other platforms, there are back doors. We know we're resourceful, and we will get our information out no matter what. That's how the indigos operate. And every indigo that's activated, they will be saying this to themselves right now. I will not stop what I am doing, and I will continue to do this till I take my last breath. I will continue to do this until this world is free, until I am satisfied that this world is free. When I'm satisfied that this world is free, then I will take a break. Then I will breathe a sigh of relief, celebrate, have a holiday, and take some time off. Until then, I'll be working 24/7, or as much as I physically am capable of doing. Every activated indigo is there right now with that. So contagion was assumed, but a contagion may not be there. It's there because you were told that it is. That's part of it as well. Very much so, yes. I mean, what you've got there is a contagion released, but a contagion that mutates in certain areas in a worse, more dangerous form, a contagion that mutates to a less dangerous form, and a contagion that mutates to a completely benign form. You then have a contagion that mutates to a helpful form. How is that? The body goes through a cleansing process when some of these viruses occur within the body. The cleansing actually detoxes the body and allows for higher amounts of light to be brought in through the cells. The arguments regarding the virus are all valid, but the truth is that all of these are the truth. Everything you can think of about this situation has got some truth in it. Obviously not everything, but there's a lot of different eclectic reasons and seeds to this whole thing, which is why when the nine spoke to me about the virus, first of all, they said it's a convergence. It's a convergence, just like our timelines are. It's a whole series of events coming together. And then when you have a convergence, no one knows how that central point will actually manifest out of the convergence. And it manifests in different ways, depending on the consciousness that's viewing it. So what Todd is saying here is, the contagion is assumed, and for some people there's a contagion. For other people there's a dangerous contagion. For other people there's no contagion, but they think it is. So you can say, oh, the virus isn't real, the virus is real, and the virus is worse than they're telling us, the virus is nowhere near as bad as they're telling us. There's little bits of truth in all of this. You cannot look at this situation with a linear way of thinking, because you just won't be able to place your belief system anywhere, because you'll be seeing the opposite belief system. This is about expansion, and the virus itself is triggering expansion. Even though it was a black box program, the black box programs are breaking down and are being utilized as awakening tools. Everything that's happening is triggering the awakening, everything. So that's kind of how it is working. You were such a bright light, lighting my way through my awakening since 2012. I made a plea to shine my light for others from then on. I'm forever grateful for you, your work, your clarity, and I absolutely love you. That is so lovely. I really, really appreciate it. And I'd just like to say, I'm getting so many messages like that. I get some opposite messages too. I won't talk about those, but I get so many messages like that. And obviously I can't respond to everybody, but it's wonderful. I am sat at home reading these, and especially if I'm having a day where I might doubt myself, which I do have sometimes, we all do, and then I'll find these messages and I'll read them, and I am so happy that my work has helped people. I always said if I could help just one person, it's worth it. If I can just help one person, it's worth it. And of course, you know, there's a great many, and I'm very, very happy that that has occurred and that I am helping people that way. And the reason why I'm happy is because that's the reason why I came to Earth. That's the reason why I incarnated. So I know I've fulfilled and am in the process of fulfilling my mission. Of course, every starseed will be the same. You're all doing the same thing. So love you too, love you all. We are a massive family of light, and I think we love each other more now than we ever have. And I think that that's another flip. This dark group, they don't want us loving each other. They don't want us connected. They don't want us hugging and kissing and having celebrations and parties and being happy with one another. So they've separated us all. Yes, I know that there are other reasons for the separation. Some of those reasons are a good idea. But ultimately, we are in a position of separation. And what has that done? It's made us love each other all the more, because we all know we're going through this, and it's united us. It's united us in a phenomenal way. Do you have any guidance for how to guide and awaken children? What I would say here is, if the child is not asking any questions, there's no need to try to awaken them other than keep them happy and safe and keep their imagination alive right now. Show them the wonder of this world. Don't show them the fear. They are too young. We are carrying that fear for them. And when they're adults and they're in this new world and things are so good for them, they will find out about this period in history, and they'll be able to look back and think, that was my mum or my dad or my grandfather or my great-grandfather. They paved the way for us. That's what the children will be able to say. So if the children aren't asking questions, keep their imagination alive. Give them magic and hope and love, and send them to bed feeling happy. If they are asking questions, it really depends on the age. If you've got a teenager, you can perhaps be a bit more, depends whether that child is politically minded. Is that child spiritually minded? Is that child creative? Use their interests. I mean, if you've got a geeky computer child, then you could say to that child, it's kind of like what's happening is like a computer game, you know. We're in the computer game, and we're in the middle of sort of dealing with all the baddies, and whichever analogy you want to use. If they're a teenager, you can go with more of a metaphor. If they're a bit younger, you know, a fairy story type of scenario where there were these lovely people, and then these bad people came along and they tried to hurt them, but the bad people, the good people, found a wonderful fairy or a group of fairies and angels who helped them, and they all lived happily ever after. Basically, that's what you need to say to children. The happily ever after is very important if they are under like sort of 12, really. Depends how old your child is, how advanced they are, what questions they're asking you. Go with your heart. If you're a starseed parent, you will know what to do for your child. You will know what to say to them. But yeah, that's a great question, and it's a tough one. It is a tough one, and it's very much in the moment, and mistakes can be made, and you can say the wrong thing and think, oh gosh, why did I tell my child that? Because we're not ultimately perfect. So the main issue is to keep the children happy and to shield them from the real sort of darkness of the truth. Some kids are watching the television and they're seeing it all playing out, but they're seeing a political sort of battle. It will depend on the intelligence and the advanced thinking that that child has. Many different ways to deal with many different types of children. Look for their creativity. What is it that they love the most? and utilize that particular creative ability or that particular favorite character or toy or favorite what is it that they focus on. You utilize that joy to be the teaching tool, to be able to take things down to their level and awaken them. But as I said, if they're not asking questions, you don't need to awaken them. Same with people with special needs. You know, I have a special needs daughter who was a little bit shocked with all this, doesn't really understand it. I'm not going to try to tell her everything, but I'll tell her something, but I'm still keeping it like, yeah, things are difficult out there at the moment, and you know, it's hard to get our shopping, but it won't last long. And it's same, if she's asking questions, then I respond. So yeah, you have to just sort of make the best of the way to communicate with somebody who is a child or someone with special needs. You have to obviously work with them differently. So, but if you're a starseed, you'll be guided in that and you'll know what to say. So much love and gratitude from the heartland of America. Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing. We really need your love over here at the moment, because like I said, you know, if you're likening that tightening to a cage, the bars of your cage are being loosened nicely, and they're keeping hold of us. I mean, I'm feeling here, from what I'm hearing from the Nine, that in a way we've got a hostage situation. It's very much like America is the big sister of the UK. We are your little sister. Big sister loves the little sister, and it's like, we're going to keep little sister hostage. You can do what you want, but if you do this, we'll take little sister hostage. It's not going to work, but that's kind of what's going on. The stronghold with the United Kingdom is like a kind of a little jewel to the cabal in a way. For some reason, they like having the UK. They didn't like Brexit at all. This is to do with royal family members. This is their home, and to do with banking and other things. So I'm aware of all that. So yeah, the love from America to us is gratefully received. And as I said, we're receiving that anyway. We are actually getting that ripple effect over here. And I know that whatever is happening with you will then be utilized with us. We will know how to be able to, as a team, we will know how to be able to utilize what's happening in America to assist us in the UK and in other countries in Europe as well, and in the greater part of the world. Canada, Australia, they seem to be having the similar freedoms to you in America. Things are a little bit, the energy is a little bit more flowing. It's tight here in the UK. So, but it's a ripple effect across the globe. We will all move through this in the same time period, but at different times within that. So America, as I said, is in the center, and everyone else is receiving the ripples of that. And we'll know more and more and more what that looks like over the coming imminent period. So, okay. People are protesting as you speak, really. Peaceful demonstrations, yes, not surprised. Kind of saw all that. And if the demonstrations can be peaceful, then that's wonderful, because that shows the powers that you know, are losing their power each day, that we are not about violence. We are not about aggression. That is not the people as a whole. Anyone who moves forward in violence and aggression are in terrible fear and trauma, or are being threatened themselves, or are being paid by the dark, or are caught by the dark in some way. As we go forward, that will become less and less and less. And as we go further forward, the traumas won't be there for the children of tomorrow. They won't have the traumas that we have had, that the children of yesteryear and now have had. Those traumas won't be there, because we are moving into a self-governing free society, which is a whole new dimension and another earth, as we all know. Love from Kentucky. Okay. Suggestions, please, for what we can do here in the UK. Personally, I'm planting seeds with others and educating my community about to do some shadow work with them, Thank you for all you're doing. Love your take on things. Wonderful. I'm not sure whether you mean literal seeds or metaphoric seeds. Both are fantastic. Planting literal seeds and growing vegetables and food is wonderful. I'm going to start doing the same myself. I've just found a guy who sells organic seeds for organic vegetables. A friend put me in touch with him, and I'm going to start growing some seeds. So I'm looking forward to that because I've never done it before in my life. I've hated gardening my entire life, much to the disappointment of my mother, who absolutely loves it. So I'm hoping my mother will forgive me and help me. But if you mean planting seeds, as in seeds of consciousness, absolutely. That's the way to go. And I think it's really working out whether that person is ready to hear what you have to say. Being intuitive with that person. If you're talking to a group and you've decided to make videos, then you just speak to the group. But if you're talking to individuals, you're working out if there's a bad reaction, you take a step back. Don't worry about the UK. We're going to be all right. It's going to take a little bit longer to release that hold. We don't have a President Trump here in the United Kingdom, but he's in the right place, and so we are receiving, as I've said, we are going to see things that America will do. It will be centered on Trump and Trump's team and the people attacking him. And there is some kind of not altercation, that's the wrong word, but some kind of showdown with Trump and the team and the others. And that will be then utilized by us, because we'll be able to say, well, America have done this, why are you doing that? In complete opposite. We've got one group leading America with some truth now, quite a bit of truth now, or at least a higher information that is outside of that corruption and is moving upwards towards genuine truth. And here we are in the UK and in other countries where that's not there. So that gap's going to become more and more evident. There is a team in all countries. Every country has a team of light. They're all going to step into place. What we're going to see is, I think I read somewhere, someone wrote, the greatest show on earth. It's it. This is the greatest show on earth. We're part of it. Participatory characters in the greatest film you have ever watched. It's all there. And yes, it's not easy, but in order to navigate this, we must find the joy within it. And the joy is where we are going, what we are creating. The joy is that we can find empowerment and strength despite what's happening around us, despite the fact that the physical world is showing us nothing but doom, gloom, and disaster. But the strength within us is, no, I do not accept your doom, gloom, and disaster. I accept joy, and I accept heart-centered co-creation and unity. And it's there. The unity is more evident than it's ever been. So I could sit here all night to talk to you, but I suppose I should go and get off my computer. So wow, thank you so much for coming into the chat room. It's been really fun. I just had a friend find you. I was so excited to see them find you. You've been such a bright light in my life. Love you so much, Magenta. Thank you, Rainy. You've been amazing on Twitter. When I've got into a bit of a kerfuffle with someone, you've always been there and had my back. That's great. So yeah, thank you so much. I love doing the lives. They're really lovely energy, and you really feel connected with everyone in real time. So I'll try and do more of these. And yeah, I love you all, and have a great day. I'm looking forward to watching Trump again tonight. I'm not watching the UK Parliament address. I'll hear about what was said from other people, but I tune into Trump's every night. In fact, we've even stayed up till like 1 a.m. to watch him, because I know that announcements are coming from him, and that's the place to find them. So all eyes on America. All right, that's the end of my live stream then. I've just got to try and work out how to turn this off now. I don't know how to do it. No, I haven't got a clue. Does anyone know how I can turn this off? I haven't actually used Facebook Live for so long. Hang on, is that end live video? I see it. There's a great big button at the bottom of the screen that I completely missed. So I'm going to press it now. Okay, thanks for being here in the chat room. Lovely to talk to all of you. Love you all. See you all again soon. Bye.